Hey, what's up, everybody? It's JD Calderon, and this is Indie Comics Explained. And today, I'm with George, the Dreamer, Medina.
I'm looking for the beats. I'm looking for the beats.
I don't do beats, bro. Sorry, that you can save that for Sam. He does all that good stuff. He's sitting there over there, going all crazy.
I know. He's a funny guy. He likes to get all, technically get funny, but he's funny. Yeah. He's a good guy. We have fun on the show.
No, the dude, man. Listen, Sam is awesome, and the thing is look, if I can't just hit a button and go, it's not happening. I'm not that big. Right, man. Huh?
I like this. This is nice. The setup, the way you have it, I like it.
Oh yeah, well, we dressed it up a little, make it look all right.
A big white background. I can almost put like a screen, whatever screen I want back there. It's just all blank.
Mm-hmm, yeah, you gotta get a nice poster behind you. That's all.
It's simple, bro. Keep it simple. I have like a shelf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Get some artwork up there, bro. Get some Russ artwork. All right, so listen, we're getting into the weeds. Mr. Medina, let everybody know who you are, what you've done, what you're looking to do, and how you're looking to do it.
Okay. So my name is Jorge Medina. I'm a creator, writer of comic books, graphic novels, and those sorts. And I got into this thing back in '03, I want to say. And I started self-publishing my books. That started with a book called Russ 5377 was actually my first book. I actually have a copy of it right here. This is the guy. Russ 5377 was my first, endeavor into this self-publishing company. And when the book first started, I was the artist as well as the writer, colorist. I did it all. Pretty soon, though, I realized, dude, I can't do this whole thing. Plus, my artwork is not up to par. So I decided to hire an artist, and that's where that book came out. So I did 6 issues of that, and then the creativity doesn't stop. Once you start, you want to keep going. And I started doing the Adventures of Wonder Duck, which is this guy right here, which I've been putting in. You can get it on Amazon and on Barnes and Nobles now. And yeah, that's basically what I do and who I am right now. Oh, I also have a podcast called Catching Fairies every Friday.
And who's your co-host?
Oh, my co-host is Sam the Crazy Man Vera.
There you go.
So there's his plug. I'm sure he'll be happy.
That's his plug. Sam, I'm coming for you. Just letting you know I'm coming for you. No, Sam, gotta come on. We're gonna talk business.
Yeah, that's good. Don't let him talk you, bro.
So
yeah.
George, all right. Yes. So when you work on your project, like, all right, I know you got Russ, you have your new project. Are there any other projects you've worked on in the past that you want to mention?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've worked on, we have a book called Street Journal that I worked on with my friend Jonathan Syfax. And we're actually working to reboot that book. So that's going to be a future project. We did like 3 issues, and Aníbal Arroyo was the artist on the first 3 books. He's doing his own stuff right now. He's got a book that he's also working on. And so we're going to reboot the story, finish this 6 issues, because it's a 6-issue run, and go from there. And then I've also worked with Sam. We mentioned Sam before. I worked on books like There's an Alien in My Toilet. I did the coloring for that book. I did a lot of lettering on those books. So yeah, I also do that. I do some lettering as well. So I've done quite a few things.
So now, but you're the writer and creator on Russ, right?
Yes.
And Cyberduck?
The Adventures of Wonder Duck. Yeah.
The Adventures of Wonder Duck. Sorry about that. I knew the dude from Cyberduck. That's why.
Did you?
Yeah, because I met him down in Florida.
No.
It was a while ago.
No way. That's what's up, bro.
Yeah, man. So tell me, what's the genesis of Russ? Like, what is it that brought it out of you? Like, what made you want to do that particular story that way?
All right, so back in 98, 99, I was working at an orphanage. And
I'm sorry, where were you working?
At an orphanage.
Oh, okay.
It was a group home. And I was doing data entry work though. I wasn't a social worker. I was doing the data entry work at the place while I was in college. And one day, as I'm doing my work, I see a name. I see this name, Non Ami, and I'm like, yo, that's a cool name, man. Non Ami, that's a nice name. And the guy who I was working with was like, yo, dude, that doesn't say Non Ami. That says no name. Like the kid has no name. And I was like, oh shoot. And I thought, what if I wrote a story about a kid who was stuck in a group home and wanted to escape? And that's basically where the idea of Russ came from. Russ is this kid sometime in the future. I don't even tell you guys when. And he basically lives in an orphanage. The orphanage, however, is not just any regular orphanage. It's a lab where they're trying to create the perfect specimen. When Russ finds this out, him and his boys decide, you know what? It's time to boogie. It's time to get out of here. And they plan to escape. And that's basically the first 6-issue arc of that story is him being in the home and to escape the home. And I left it open for like ongoing series. You don't know what it escapes or makes it, what happens, but that's essentially where the premise of the story is.
Got you. Now, like how many issues have you done so far of Russ?
Of Russ, 6.
6. Okay.
6, and I put it in a graphic novel. So the whole thing is like if you picked it up, you have the full story all in the graphic novel itself. It's 144 pages.
Got you. Now, you said you worked with Sam, right? On his book on Alien in the Toilet. Mm-hmm. Now, when did you guys hook up to do your thing? Like, because you've been working. I know you've been with Sam for a little bit.
Yeah. So what happened was in back around that time in 2003, I started taking classes at the School of Visual Arts, and I was taking a lecturing class, and that's where I met Sam. And Sam had just I think he had just started Crazy Comics, or they were like in their early stages. And one of the assignments was to create our own character in the class or something like that and bring it in and talk about it. So we did. And that's when he was like, yo, dude, I have a comic book company called Crazy Comics. Do you want to get them? And I'm like, a comic book company? Yeah, sure, bet. So that was like the first time I discovered Photoshop. I discovered 11 by 17 sheets of paper. Because before that, I was folding 8.5 by 11 papers in half, and that was my comic. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
When I met up with Sam, then that's when I discovered the 11 by 17 pieces of paper. So that just started me into this whole. I went to a rabbit hole of just like this is now conventions and promoting your product and doing all this stuff. And Sam at the time had the Adventures of Cosmic Cosmic Wars is what he had, and I had Russ. So we went to an Apple convention in the city, back in the Armory, and that was that was our first convention, dude. That thing was a blast. That thing was a blast. And that's how I got started with that.
Right. Yeah, I miss those old shows.
Yeah, dude, those were great. Those were great.
When you could get into a show for $50 or $100 for a table,
right? For 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Now it's like, it's a 500. What?
What? And you gotta have a tax ID. You gotta do it's crazy. It's insane now. It's insane.
It's nuts. It's rough.
I don't even know what's gonna happen after this COVID thing, though. I don't even know when we'll be able to go back to conventions. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be surprised if New York Comic Con happens.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't canceled it yet. I'm like very surprised about that.
Yeah, I think what it is they're waiting on the city, and I think I had this conversation with Daphne, and she was telling me how San Diego, they didn't really shut it down until their mayor said, no, it's not happening.
Oh, really?
Right.
So they were ready to keep going. They were ready to keep it doing.
Yeah, and she made a good point. Is this thing called force majeure? You probably heard about it. Is insurance, where they have it for movies primarily. That's where I heard it from. But I would imagine they have insurance that if this thing doesn't pop off, they have the insurance to cover them to pay back whomever or whatever. So that's probably why they had to wait for the mayor. Because if they canceled it, then the insurance company would be like, well, you did it on your own.
Right,
you know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah, you have to wait for it. It's almost like when you book a flight, right? I mean, now they're not doing it. But if you book a flight, unless that flight is canceled, you're not getting your money back. You know what I mean? It has to be in order for you to get a refund.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just a credit, and you may have to pay a fee. So I guess it's the same principle, I guess. But yeah, dude, I don't know what's gonna happen. And even when we are able to go back, like, do you really want to be around so many people with only possibly coming back in a second wave in the fall? Like,
well, I think there's gonna be a lot of cosplay of hazmat suits. Yeah, exactly. Everybody's just be like, "Oh, coming up." My cosplay. I'm playing doctor today.
I'm about to become a cosplayer. That happens, bro. Yep.
That's seriously. Now, with Wonder Duck, what was like? Okay, now I know that's your latest project. How long have you been working on that?
Okay, so Wonder Duck was inspired like back in the late '80s, early '90s with the Disney afternoon, right? Like I was a huge Disney afternoon fan. And as a kid, I used to love watching DuckTales. That was my joint. So DuckTales had a character called Gizmo Duck. Okay. Gizmo Duck was like, yo, this is great. I love the gadgets. I love all that stuff. So I was like, oh, I want to come up with my own character. So I came up with Wonder Duck. And when I went to copyright it, Wonder Duck was already used. So I had to, but if I used the adventures of Wonder Duck, I was good. I was good to go. So I did the copyright on it. And so this started back in like 91, 92. And I let it sit for a while. And it wasn't until, I want to say, maybe 2003, 2004, when I hooked up with Sam, that I was like, you know what? Let me bring this guy back. And so I went and I started Googling artists to do the book. And when we found the guys who did Russ, who at the time were a studio called Big Cat Studios in the Philippines. They changed their name now. They're 9 Live Animation. They do animation stuff.
Okay.
So I approached them about drawing the book for me. So they did. They were like, dude, yeah, bring it. So I hired them to do the book. They did 4 issues, which is what's inside the book. And they did, I don't know if you can see it here. The style of the book is very, obviously, cartoony.
Right.
It's very, I guess Disney-ish, I guess. But they definitely captured what I wanted out of the book. Right. And they went ahead and they put it together for me. And dude, it came out great. Actually, one of the characters, that's the you see him wearing a shirt. That T-shirt is actually the Street Journal T-shirt. You see it right in the center panel.
Yeah.
So that's what's in there. But yeah, so that's what Wonder Duck. And Wonder Duck is essentially it's a story of 2 planets at war, and one of the scientists who was supposed to create the suit that was supposed to protect this planet sells the prototype to like these bad dudes, and they end up creating their own army to attack that planet. One of the suits goes dispersed into space because he's trying to get rid of the evidence, and it ends up in another planet, and that's where Wonder Duck is kind of born, because it kind of hits that dude that I showed you.
Right.
With stuff who's about to end it off, because he's like, and he becomes Wonder Duck. So that's where that story kind of takes off, and that's an ongoing story. Like I have the graphic novel. It's a 2-parter. This is part 1, part 2 is coming. But that one can keep going. It's almost like what you're doing with your books. Like it's just adventures that they just can keep going and going and going.
Yeah, they just keep going. Yeah. They just keep going. Yes, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's just like it just keeps going. Listen, I'm working towards an ending. That's the thing. I'm working towards an ending. Oh yeah, I got an ending.
Yeah, you do. All right, good. But
yeah, I got it.
Stories, dude. Like,
see, that's the problem. I'm 1,000 pages in, right? And I probably got another 1,500 to go.
Oh my gosh! But there is an ending.
Huh?
But there is an ending.
There is an ending. There's a definitive ending. I got it. I haven't written it yet, but it's coming. I'm running in that direction hard. Yeah, but I mean that's the problem when I hate using the word epic, but it's when I don't want to say it got away from me, but it certainly got a lot bigger than I thought it would.
Right. You never get to go this route, and here it is. Here you are.
Exactly. Yep. So So George, let's get down. Like who obviously growing up, you said you were a big fan of like, Disney and those sorts of things. What were the things in comic books that drove you to want to create books? Like what were the comics that first inspired you that you saw, whether they be, Marvel and DC, which is pretty much where most of us started, or independence? Actually, I would like to hear like both. Like, what was the independence you saw? What were the mainstream, so on and so forth?
Yeah. So I didn't get into comics until I was like in 7th or 8th grade. Like most of my youth. I mean, so I was born in Ecuador, right? And when I was 7 years old, I came here. I came here when I was 7. So from the time I was a little kid to the time I was 7, like comics and things like that in like those countries is very different than it is here. It's almost like it's very pulpy. So they have a lot of like, and it's very inappropriate. Like it's very adult. Like a lot of comics in those countries, and from what I remember, were girls with big boobs and very curvaceous women, and like and they're very satirical. There's a lot of comedy in them, and so I saw that, and then I had Disney has always been like, I want to do, but I didn't ever want to work for anybody. I want to do my own thing. Like I never wanted to work for Disney, work for Marvel, DC. I never even thought of that. Always create my own stuff and go from there. So growing up in Ecuador, that's what I saw. So I never was into comics that way, but I was always into cartoons. So I always wanted to animate. Like I always saw myself animated. When I first got into comics, it was obviously Marvel and DC. And Marvel, and the funny thing is for Marvel, it was Iron Man and it was Thor. It wasn't Spider-Man, it wasn't those guys. I saw the cartoons when I was a little kid, but I never saw them. But when I opened up those books and I was like, oh my God, storyboards. These are storyboards. So that's when I was like, yo, dude, this is what I want to do. I want to start doing this. And that's how I got into the whole, doing comics and things like that. As far as the independence, at the time, I think back in that time, and obviously, I think Bone is something that's been around for a while and things like that. But independent-wise, I guess Image, you know what I mean? like that's the earliest, independence that I saw was like these guys who left Marvel and DC to start their own thing and create their own characters. Todd McFarlane and Spawn and and all these guys. The Dragon, the Savage Dragon. So that was also I was like, yo, this can be done. Like you don't have to work for these guys. You can do your own thing. So that was a big factor too in in creating my own stuff and getting my stuff out there.
Cool. Now, when it comes down to like your own work, all right, let's get down to some technical stuff as far as your writing. Like, like when you're sitting down creating, everybody, like I have a process that I go through. Usually it requires me to smash my face into my keyboard a couple of times and I get to work. But like, what's your process? Like, how do you get into that mental state of like, this is what I'm going to do. Right. And I'm not just going to sit here and just stare at my screen.
Yeah. It's funny because I guess I'm old school when it comes to the way I write, because I grab a pen and a piece of paper and I write on there. I just feel I can think better that way. So I basically write down notes, constantly just notes, and I try to break it down, set up, what's my setup? How do I want to set it up? What's my what's my conflict? What's my resolution? I try to do it in that way, and then it'll crap because then you just start writing, right? But I like to have like an outline so that I kind of know where I'm going, so I don't get lost.
Right.
Writing, and then everything just goes on the paper, and then from the paper I go into the computer and I start typing it up. And my my scripts are basically panel, page, how many panels, panel one are going in there. I like to write dialogue first before I write description. I just like to write dialogue, so I like writing the dialogue first, and then based on the dialogue I'll write the description. If he's saying this, how would that character say it? What would he be doing? If he's in, sometimes we call them boring scenes where they're just like in a kitchen talking, or when they're, but what are they doing? Are they picking up a pan? Are they, I try to write into the, what's the expression on their face? I try to write that. And even when I'm writing my scripts, I leave them. I like to give the artist creative freedom. I don't like to say, oh, your camera goes here. Draw it this way. I'm like, listen, this is what I'm thinking, but it's something better, go for it. And I give them complete green light to do whatever they want as far as angles and things like that. Unless I see something very specific and I want, something that I want to, a pace that I want to, then that's different. But other than that, yeah, I like to leave it open.
Gotcha. So you write full scripts. So you write page 1, panel 1, that sort of thing? Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's cool. Because the only time I ever broke it down is when that 2 or 3 year period I worked professionally. That was the only time I would write my script and I would break it down. And that was more for my editor than my artist, because my artist was Matt Lunsford and I worked with him a lot and he knew exactly how I worked. So, but it was for my editor. It was just like, boom, here it is, 24 pages. There you go. And then Matt would get the script and he'd be like, oh yeah, right, 24 pages. Oh, sure. Here's 32 for you. Oh yeah. He'd do that all the time. And then it was funny because I was contracted for 24, but if they printed 32, they had to pay me for the other 8.
Oh.
So that was so it was fantastic. You'd be like, I did 32 pages. I'd be like, yes, another check.
Oh, dude. Yeah, no, I don't know why. I guess I think I tried to do it the other way one time where it was just like where I did like, a page and then I just wrote a description of what I wanted on that page with dialogue in it. And what I had was like almost just like a collage. It wasn't even a breakdown of it. I was like, you know what? Now let me just start writing, panel 1, panel 2, panel 3.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you got to do it. I mean, okay, like, because the way I generally write a script, I mean, I'll write a scene and then I'll write all the dialogue, descriptions, and I get in fairly detailed, like what I want how the characters look, so on and so forth. And then the only time I'll do a page breakdown is if I haven't worked with the person before.
Right. Yeah.
So if I haven't worked with this person, then I'll do that.
Yes.
Yeah. But
you don't know. You don't know if they're comfortable doing it that way or they get it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
When you write down page 1, okay, this is what he wants, exactly what he wants. Especially when you're, a lot of the artists, and you do probably as well, but my artists are not in the States. So it's not like I can call them up and be like, hey, listen, let's get together so we can script. Everything can be done on that script so that they can see what it is. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, working with the guys you're working with, right, obviously you send them a script, right? Now, what do? They break it down for you. They send you layouts. What's your process to go through that? Like, do you get a lot of them at one time? Do you get one page at a time? Just go one at a time? How do you guys work that?
Yeah. So basically, what I do is, because I do draw. I can't draw like these guys are drawing, but I'll sketch out. So I've designed my characters. So all my characters. So what I did was, like for example, with these guys, I send them the characters that I designed, and I say, can you draw these in this style? And they're like, okay, so I see what their style is going to be, and I'll tell them, okay, that character maybe needs to change this or whatever. Once that is done, I send them a copy of the script, the full 22-page script. And the way the contract is set up is that they'll send me half of the script. Like we'll do thumbnails. They'll thumbnail the whole thing out. Then they go into the drawing part of it. They'll draw it, and they'll draw the first 11 pages, and I'll send them a payment. And then they'll draw the next 11, and I'll send them the last payment. So we'll do it in 2 halves. They'll do 11 pages, I'll send a payment. They do another 11, I'll send another payment. And that's how I do every issue with them. But they'll send me full pages. So like the deal that I have with them, they're doing pencils and colors. So I get all of that at once. The only thing that has to be lettering, and that's what I do on the books.
Got you. Listen, we got a Boricua in the house. His name is Justin Rican. Awesome podcast. He has an excellent podcast. You should listen to his podcast. Yeah, definitely. He's man cool. He's originally from Jersey, so I don't know if I really can call him Boricua because he's supposed to be from New York. But but he's from Jersey, but he's man cool, and he has an awesome podcast. He lives out in Florida, so
What's the name of the
podcast? Justin Rican.
Justin Rican? Oh, okay.
Yeah, man. This dude is man cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, so let's get back into it. So you've been working with these guys for a minute. Now you say you're still doing Wonder Duck.
Yeah.
Right. Now, are there any other projects you're looking to do in the future? I mean, what's in the future?
Yeah. So
for Mr. Medina, like what's the madness gonna be?
Yeah. Well, okay. So right now, obviously Wonder Duck, and I've written a lot of. I already have a lot of stories for Wonder Duck written. It's just scripts got to be sent out. So that's done. I'm working on Street Journal, rebooting that. With John, I'm working on that. I have a project that I'm working on with a couple of guys that I know. With Aníbal Arroyo, you know Aníbal Arroyo.
Right.
Jonathan's working on that with us. A gentleman by the name of Joe Holly, he's working with us. Victor Cordio and a gentleman by the name of Motion. We're doing a book together right now, the one shot. I can't say what it is yet, but once we're done with it, I'll let you know.
You can say it now. I'm only joking.
So we got that going. And then I have a book that I'm working on, a little more serious. A lot of the stuff that I've done has been cartoony, a lot of just teenage stuff. This one's a little more serious, which I'm working on, and I'm still developing it. Still working on that. So I'm hoping to have that done by next year. So, but in the meantime, I mean, the dream is to have these things up on TV, man. Like to have cartoons of Wonder Duck and Russ, and dude, I have to boom just sign an option for Netflix to put all their stuff up there. It's like streaming services, like all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the dream right there. But,
no, I got you, man. I got you. I mean, trust me. I know I'm there. I got the Oswald Chronicles, and if I can get it to that point, woof.
Dude,
so we got somebody else in the house, Metro Maya. What's up?
What's up, Metro?
So talk to me about what you're doing with Sam. Like, what is it you guys? Because I know you got your own channel. You guys are promoting. You got your own podcast. You guys interview people. Like, what is it you guys are looking to do within the community? You understand? To what are you looking to do?
Yeah. So Sam stepped away from doing this for a good 10 years. And before he left, remember I was telling you about Crazy Comics. He also had he started a podcast back then when podcasts weren't even that crazy, called Catch the Craze. And for whatever reason, and when you have him on the show, you can ask him, he left again. And we met up. I think it was back I want to say last summer or at the end of last summer. We kind of just linked up again, man. I was like, yo, what's going on? My sister was actually moving to California, and I had a bunch of stuff in her basement, like a lot of the stuff that we use for our conventions and stuff. And I said, hey, Sam, I got a bunch of stuff. Do you want it, or you want me to throw it away? It was like pinups and a bunch of stuff. So he's like, nah, dude, bring it. So we met up at his house, and we started talking, dude, yo, dude, what are you thinking of doing? And I guess it inspired, like the fire just started, it never dies down, man. You can leave, but this is like the mob, bro. It just pulls you back in. So he was like, nah, you know what? Let's start with the podcast. And that's where Catch the Craze kind of came back. And the podcast is an hour show. We come on every Friday. And the first half of the show is just us BSing. And maybe we have a segment called Get Your Meds, where we talk about just stuff that, that we have done in the industry, whether it's, how to promote your product. If you have a table at a show, how should you sell your comics and stuff like that. So the first half of the show is that, and the second half of the show is and you talk about the community, is just to shine a light, sort of like what you're doing right now with independent artists, and talk to them and find out what they're doing and promote their stuff. And so that's what we've been doing. So we've tried to have as many guests on there as it is, whether you're an independent artist, whether you're a comic book artist, if you're a musician, if you're a magician, I don't care what you do. If you're a passion, hit us up. It's Catch the Craze, youtube.com/Catch the Craze. Subscribe, and then just hit us up on like our social networks. I'm at Medina Whip on Instagram, and Sam is at Catch the Craze. So just check us out there and just hit us up and say, hey, listen, I want to talk about what I do.
Gotcha.
We'll have you on.
Your boy Jonathan Syfax.
Johnny,
he's in there, boy.
Oh, yeah. Is he AKA Metro Mia?
Yeah, that's Metro Mia. I was like, it's like
Metro Mia? What the heck?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, dude. That's funny, man.
So I mean, you've worked with Jonathan, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jonathan. We've been working for years, man.
Right. So, what have you? So, how did that partnership come together? Okay. And how do you guys like break up your responsibilities on a project?
Gotcha. So the project we've been working on since I've met him back in. I think we met in college, so it was back in like 98, 99. And he wrote a book. He wrote a play called I forget what the name of the play was. John, what was the name of the play? If he's listening, type it in. And he handed me the play, and I was like, "Yo, dude, this would be a great graphic novel or like a great comic." So we changed the name. It became The Street Journey, and essentially it's about a young writer growing up in the Bronx, in the South Bronx, back in 1995.
Right.
And he chronicles everything he sees out of his window and in his life in this journal, whether it's the drug dealing. He lives in an abusive household. He's got a little daughter. So he chronicles all of this. He's got a drug dealing cousin, and he looks up to him.
We all got those.
Right? So he writes all of this in his journal, and that's why it's called the Street Journal. So you go through his growth in a sense. He's an aspiring writer. And throughout the story, you find out whether or not he makes it or he doesn't make it in 1995. So we started writing that back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And Anibal came on board. And the first 3 issues, like I mentioned earlier, now we're rebooting it. But the process, to answer your second question, the process is, so Jonathan is the creator of the book. And he is the main writer. I come in as like the helper. I help him. So he'll write a scene, we'll get together and we'll break that scene down and we'll say, okay, what works, what doesn't work. We both know these characters so well now that we're like, okay, would he say that? Does that make sense to say that? And it's a nice process because we work together. I respect him 100%. I think he's a great writer. I don't think he believes that as much, He really is. And so I'm like, dude, this is great. And we, we're very encouraging. I mean, we get into our things, man. When there's two creative minds, we butt heads, definitely butt heads. But I think the respect above all kind of like overshadows that, and we're able to do something. And I think when this thing finally comes out now, because we wrote it back in 2000, we're like younger, you know what I mean? Years. So now we look at the world very different, and like a story this heavy now coming from the perspective of like a grown man rather than like a young kid just going into college, it's a very different perspective. The beauty of it is that because it's so long, the kid in the book remains a kid. So we honor his childhood in the way he thinks because we're thinking that way at the time. But now we can make more sense for like an audience to say, oh, okay, that's more belief. So it actually works kind of cool. I mean, we didn't mean to wait this long, but I think that it kind of worked out.
Now, you're doing this as a graphic novel. So do you have another set of artists you're working with, or is it the same group?
Okay, so we haven't found the artist yet. Now, this is the thing, right? So when we worked with Anibal, a story. I mean, 1995. It's a period piece, bro. Like,
of course.
Up in the 90s, the baggy jeans, the big oversized sweaters, the 8-4 jackets, the starter jackets, the wallabies. So all the things I'm mentioning to you, you get. But we need to get an artist that also understands that and knows what that stuff looks like. Because I can give you reference. I can tell you what the stuff looks like. But I feel like unless you lived that era, you're not be able to get it 100% or put it on a page 100%.
Right.
But yeah, so that's going to be a little tough trying to find that artist to be able to do that,
Because also the thing is like you're talking about Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens.
Right.
Which one? Like, is the Bronx Brooklyn? Huh?
Right. Yeah. No, it's the Bronx, right? It's the Bronx.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bronx 1995, much different than what Bronx 2020 is. Right. Much different, especially, there's been a lot of gentrification out there, and, it's, that was the hood.
Yeah, the fashion, dude. Like, if we say, okay, draw a kid with whatever, it's like, they may draw, the jeans got tighter. You know what I mean? They still sag, but they got tighter. You know what I mean? So,
well, they sag in different places.
so that's the thing, but so it's gonna be a challenge. But we're still in the writing process. So it's a graphic novel. I split it up into, when we first wrote it, it was 6 issues. At this point, dude, like we're like on page 180 or something like that.
Like, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's beyond 6 issues. Now it's just we're just writing and seeing where it goes, and maybe just come back and break it down a little. But fun, man. It's fun.
Got you. Now, here's another interesting question. Like, so you've done Russ, you've done Wonder Duck. How are you financing these? Like, how, as an independent creator, I'm on Kickstarter, I'm doing Indiegogo, I'm on these places, I'm trying to hustle. For a while I was self-financing. Sometimes I still have to. Yeah. But how you doing this?
All right, so the 9 to 5s, it's been doing it. But okay, so I talk about these two projects, right?
Right.
These two projects were a long time in the making, and rates have changed dramatically from when I started these projects to now. So when I started these projects, it was about, the page rate was a lot less. I was, and coming from the Philippines, God bless them, they were doing it for peanuts, bro. Like, they were not charging me much. They were doing pencils, inks, and colors for like a rate that if I told you, you'd be like, what? Are you crazy? Like, so I got lucky in that sense. So these were completed, a long time ago. Now, the new stuff that I have coming out, I'm financing it for me. I'm paying it, paying out of pocket for it. I do want to do Kickstarters and those kind of things. But it's very, so we talked about this with Sam on the show. The battle of the crowdfunding campaign. It'll be later on in this month, like we'll have that conversation. But we talked about Kickstarter, we talked about Indiegogo, and it doesn't end there because there are other crowdfunding campaigns that aren't as popular as these two. So we were going through the the pros and cons of the two. They're just very intimidating. Like, for somebody who's never done one, and I did one back for Street Journal, we did an Indiegogo one. Indiegogo, a lot less pressure. Indiegogo was like, hey, listen, if you ain't got it, if you don't make the whole thing, don't worry about it. We just take that out of that, and you can keep the rest, right? So it was like, all right, okay, man, whatever we can get, we'll get. Kickstarter's like the big boy. Like, Kickstarter's like, if you don't make your money, if you don't make the goal, you ain't getting it. You ask for $5,000, you get $4,999.99. You're not getting any of it unless that other penny makes it into that. So, and a lot of that is preparing for it, right? And you know better than me. It's the work before you put the campaign out. All the work you got to do before it, and even during, and even after. So it's not, you know what I mean? So it's very intimidating, and right now I'm trying to gain the knowledge to do it, but that's definitely what I want to do, especially for like Wonder Duck, the second part of it. I'm gonna need to do something like that to finance it, because like I said, the rates have gone up. It's not the same thing. So that's definitely the work. The Kickstarter will definitely be in the work.
All right, I got you. Like I said, I'm here for you. Yeah. If you need me, just call me. Reach out. I'm here to help out.
You've got like what, 15, 20?
16?
Right? Yeah, I knew it.
like 16 on Kickstarter. I'm on my third Indiegogo. Yeah, and then like I have books coming in to fulfill both the Kickstarter and Indiegogo I just finished. Yeah. And I'm telling you, as soon as that last book ships out, boom, some more coming up. There's gonna be another Kickstarter. There's gonna be another Indiegogo.
Yeah, so you starting another Kickstarter before you put all those books out, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot, right? Because now you're like, right, yeah.
What you want to do is you want to complete and you want to fulfill. That's important. You got to fulfill, all right? Because the thing is I'm not going to tell anyone, oh yeah, give me more money without me giving you your stuff that I promised you. You understand? So you want to give everybody, says, listen, here's your stuff. I'm always going to, my thing is like fulfill. If you tell somebody you're going to have somebody, you're going to get them their stuff. So my advice to you or to any creator is try to have the work finished. Try to have that work finished. And then what you're going to do is you're going to suffer a little bit in the beginning because you're going to self-finance. But then you try to make your money so that the next project, hopefully you'll make your money back, or at least it'll replenish that money so that you can put it into the next book.
Right.
You know what I mean? So basically, you just keep fulfilling. Hopefully you make enough money that, you can take a vacation. But,
You know what I meant to ask you too? When I was looking at, we were doing the show and I was just researching Kickstarter. There's a thing in Kickstarter that says that their platform is not for you to sell your product.
Right.
It's to build the money, get the money to put the product out. So and
Right.
I thought about that. I'm like, so does that mean that if your book is like, if I'm, for example, I have this already done, but I'm trying to, now I put the money out front, it's complete, I put that money out front, will they not let me put this up there because it's already completed and they're looking at it as I'm selling it? Is there like a loophole or something? Like,
I think it's a little weird. I mean, because the thing is like, yeah, so it's Kickstarter, so it's what helps to help you kickstart your project, right? So now when I say have your book done, you know, I'm talking about, you know, the art. You have the art, the writing, the lettering, all that stuff is done. And then what they're going to kickstart you is printing.
right.
You understand? So, because you still got to pay to print. You understand? So that's the part where you're being kickstarted. You know, that's where you're being financed.
Right.
You know, and then also it will help you. You know, you're obviously built in to make a little bit of money. So then that way you can continue the project.
Right. Because I mean, that says, okay, fine, you may be asking for 2, but you can make 5. And they
Right, of course.
just take hey man, you made more than you said you wanted, so we're gonna take you make what you make. So yeah, and that's where all the hard work comes in, and that's where all you have to, you know, get your, whether it's your emails, you know, set up, send these things out, and have your fan base kind of ready. Hey man, it's coming. You know, so that's essentially what I'm trying to build now, is that fan base, so that when that second part comes out, I'm looking forward to that. I need that. Let me contribute to that. So yeah,
exactly. I mean, always you know, building up your mailing list is like key, because you know exactly who's interested in you and who, you know, and you can reach out to them directly.
Yeah,
because that's the one thing, you know, especially I mean, Daphne and I have been doing it for 2 or 3 years now, and it's tough because if we had started like when we started, woof, we would have had, man, I would have had 30,000 people on that list right now.
Yeah, you're right. So you didn't. You if you knew then what you know now is basically what you're saying.
Well, yeah. Well, then in 2007, I would have dumped all my money in Amazon. That's, you know.
You know what I find interesting too is, like, I remember when Disney Plus was coming out, and they talked about how Netflix was going to fold, man, because they weren't going to be able to compete with Disney Plus. And
right.
Like, Netflix right now is chilling. Like they heard that and they were like, "Hold my drink. I gotta."
Yep. Exactly. They're beasting.
Yeah, they are. And they're like, "Yo, we have things like that whole Tiger King."
Right.
They were good with that. You know, at the beginning of this thing, and it's like, man, but yeah.
Yeah, I started watching. Have you seen Lock and Key?
I started reading the graphic novel. I hadn't read it. Reading it, I want to watch that thing though.
Yeah.
How different? Levi was telling me it's like the same thing.
Right.
They were pretty close to the book, or he said it was good. The show, is it close to the book?
I'm only about 6 episodes in, and so far by what I've seen, it is, because Joe Hill, who wrote the book, also participated in writing the series.
Oh, okay.
So you know it's going to be very close to the source material.
Yes.
So, you know. Yeah. So I mean, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So now, all right, I got a couple more questions. Oh yeah, what? Hold on, wait a second. There's this thing about this box. You've been telling me about this damn box. Yeah. What's going on with this box, bro?
What's in the box? So
what's in the box?
Yeah. This is the box. So I can't tell you what's in the box because what in the box won't be shown until our May 15th episode on Catch the Craze. So if you want to know what's in the box, catch the Craze on May 15th. That's a Friday. Check that show out. And what I will tell you is it's the celebration of Russ's 21st birthday. So there are a lot of goodies in the book, in the box, including, and I will say this, okay, I'll let you know.
Okay.
One of these is definitely inside the
box. Okay.
So that's all you get.
That's all we get.
The rest find out on the show. Yeah, but man. I've been working on that because I thought about it. I was like, holy cow, this character's 21 years old, bro. Like, I'm an old man, dude.
That's it. That's
old, bro. Jesus. So
he gave birth, and there he is.
There he is. That's what we're doing. May 15th. We're gonna show you guys what's in the box.
That's awesome. Now, got a couple more questions before we wrap up. Now, the first question, I'll just give you this one. is there anything that you want to talk about that I didn't address, or like, you know, any questions maybe you want to be asked that I didn't touch on?
No. I think we're good, man. We're good money. This is good.
All right, cool. All right, I got a couple more questions. So now, if you had your choice of an artist to draw your cover, living or dead, it doesn't matter. Like you could pluck this person out of wherever, the ether, and boom, they could do your cover for you. Who would you get?
Honestly, dude, I think I gotta go with my boy Jim Lee, bro.
Okay.
I love Jim. I love Jim Lee's artwork. I think he's sick. I don't know what he would do to any one of these guys. I have no idea what he would do, but I'm pretty sure they would just be crazy because he's like attention to detail. I think it would have to be, and I know that sounds real basic, but Jim Lee would be the guy that I would definitely want.
Okay. I can respect that. Listen, Jim's an excellent artist. I mean, you know, without a doubt, you know, he is who he is. We all know who Jim is. So, you know, it's not like you said, you know, well, I'd like to get Larry, Larry Smith, whoever that is, you know, say, okay.
You're like, who?
Right, yeah. Exactly. So now, my next question is, if you were given the keys to the kingdom, right, of Marvel and DC, and they just gave you the golden ticket and they said, yo, George, pick any book, any character, any group. Which would be the group or character you would write?
And I would write. You know what? I think it would have to be, and I know people have done this like crazy, but I love Batman books.
Mm-hmm.
I love Batman and Joker, like those two guys, like if they said, listen, we want you to write a story, it would be those two guys, and they would have to be in the book together, like, and it would. I mean, it wouldn't be easy because obviously there's so many great books about Batman, but I think that's what I would be like. All right, that's what I'm gonna do. Like that.
All right. Well, as DC, what about Marvel?
Oh, in Marvel, okay, in Marvel, dude. Okay, so there was, and this is going to be an obscure character that I don't know if you remember him. There was a character back, and I want to say it was like in the early 90s, maybe mid 90s, no, early 90s. You remember that character called Sleepwalker?
Yeah.
So I think that I would say, hey man, let me bring Sleepwalker back. There was something about dreams that I'm very interested in, and I would love to just do my take on Sleepwalker from Marvel. All right. I know it's obscure, it's not, but I think that's the guy. That's the one that I would want to write.
Listen, I mean, that's why I asked the question, because it always interests me the different answers I get from people. Yeah, you know, because I'm just like, who? Really?
The other ones were basic, but this one is funny because I have these things like put away. I have a lot of these old comics put away, and I read that one, and I was like, yo, dude, I remember this guy. Like, I was like, why the hell did I even collect this thing? Like, what the hell? Right. But yeah, it was like, yo, this thing is kind of dope. I think I want to do.
All right, cool. Now, all right, so like I said, we're going on an hour. So where can people reach you? Where can people like see, you know, get in touch with you, you know, listen to the show, so on and so forth?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook. Obviously, just Google me, George. My middle name is Enrique, so I have an E in the middle name. So it's George, Jorge Medina on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, also same name. I'm on Instagram, Medina Whip, Medina WIP, work in progress. I'm there. My website, medinawhip.com, medinawipwhip.com. And then Russ has his own fan page on Facebook, so Google Russ 5377. He's got a fan page. And then on Catch the Craze, so go to youtube.com/Catch the Craze.
All right, cool. So George is awesome. You got any? Is there anything else you want to say to the fans, real quick?
Yeah, man. If you're an artist, if you're a writer, keep writing, man. Don't give up. Don't get intimidated by any of the stuff that's going out there. Be confident. Don't be cocky. Be confident. There's a difference, you know, and just keep pushing, man. Keep working.
All right. So thank you, everybody. If you like what you heard, share it out. Hit like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be talking to all of you real soon. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.
Peace. JD out.